is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
In the headlines, after the violent and inhumane attack by law enforcers on the religious compounds of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, former President Rodrigo Duterte holds high-ranking police officials accountable for the illegal search. During the heinous attack, it can be remembered that the police desecrated the KOJC members' revere as sacred land, aside from the trauma and fear it caused to the youth, women, and elderly who were there when the incident happened. Meanwhile, despite the struggles and oppression faced by the MAISUG movement, the peaceful rally pushes through by holding a massive protest in the Philippines and abroad, attended by hundreds of groups and thousands of Filipinos from various sectors. North Korea warns of consequences following the trilateral exercise launched by the US, Japan, and South Korea, comparing such drills akin to an Asian version of NATO. I am Franco Baranda. Newsline World starts now. After the violent and inhumane attack by law enforcers on the religious compounds of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, 2 individuals from the Blaan tribe have died due to severe trauma. Former President Rodrigo Duterte holds high-ranking PNP officials accountable for the deadly and traumatic incident. Almar Forzuelo has the report.
Former President Rodrigo Duterte expressed deep disappointment over the actions of the PNP staff who attacked the religious compounds of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ or KOJC. The former president shared his thoughts on the matter during a media interview on Sunday in Tacloban City, coinciding with the National Day of Protest on June 30. According to FPRRD, Pastor Apollo C. Quiboloy is his friend and he supports the police, but he believes the authorities were wrong in destroying the gate of the KOJC religious compound in Tamayong, Davao City. The armed authorities desecrated the sacred place by urinating and spitting on it and also inflicted harm on the KOJC missionaries.
Alam ko si Pastor kaibigan ko. Pero yung mga pulis, mahal ko rin yan. Kasi dumaan ako pagka-presidente. It so happens na may nasira kasi dapat yung huwag na lang sana yung gawin niya na yung may lock na sirain. Kausapin na lang sana kung hindi tinawagan nila ako.
As the administrator of KOJC, the former president is committed to addressing the issue through legal means.
Legal actions dun sa...
Bago lang. Kasi ako ang administrator. So, being an administrator, kailangan ko talaga na gawin ko yung trabaho ko.
The former president emphasized that the high-ranking officials of the PNP were responsible for the violent and ruthless attack on the KOJC religious compounds.
Yung mga top brass doon na, alam mo nila kaibigan ko si Pastor, tinawagan nila sana ako. Di kausapin ko si Pastor, tapos pasukin mo. Yan ang mali doon sa luko-lukong mga polis sa itaas. Hindi dito sa baba. Naawa ako dyan sa mga special action force, mga ordinaryong polis. Hindi yan. Mahal ko yan sila.
To recall, indigenous Blaan individuals were among the victims of the illegal attack by the PNP staff on June 10, 2024 in Kitbug, Malungon, Sarangani Province. As a result of the abuses perpetrated by law enforcement officers in the KOJC religious compounds, 2 Blaan individuals have tragically lost their lives due to the severe trauma they experienced. For God, my beloved Philippines, Almar Forzuelo, SMNI News.
The MAISUG Peace Rally proceeded without hindrance last Sunday on the 30th of June, taking place not only in Quezon City, but also in various locations across the Philippines and even abroad. Carlo de la Peña has the news.
Transparency, accountability, peace, and security. These are the principles upheld by the group behind the MAISUG movement. The TAPS coalition was formed in response to the current challenges facing the Philippines. TAPS was formed by individuals who want to convey the grievances of Filipinos to the current administration, such as high prices of basic goods and services, low wages, alleged corruption across various government sectors, and their strong opposition to changes in the Constitution. Therefore, the MAISUG group conducts a series of peaceful protests to voice their sentiments to the government. However, the freedom of assembly and expression of views and opinions towards the government appears to have been denied by the current administration. Many of the organized peace rallies of MAISUG did not proceed due to oppression. Such as in Bustos, Bulacan, the venue contract was revoked on the day of the rally. In Dumaguete City, Negros Oriental, the Freedom Park near the capital was suddenly shut down, but protesters persisted with their rally next to the closed park. Former President Rodrigo Duterte criticized the administration for alleged violations of the Bill of Rights by suppressing freedom of expression during the same rally. Meanwhile, in Tacloban City, the venue turned into a parking lot. Despite efforts to block the rally, activists used their vehicles to secure the site. These government pressures emboldened the protesters to continue to voice out their grievances and call for government accountability.
Alam mo, itong MAISUG, let me be very clear and big. Itong hakbang MAISUG does not call for the ouster of the President Marcos. It does not call for his resignation. It is not against anybody. Ito lang yung sentimento. Alam mo, sa totoo lang, lahat administration, without exception, may pagkakamali talaga yan. So these are the things that pagka hindi talaga, mahirap ngayon magsalita hindi lumalabas. Kasi kayo, do not be offended. Pati kayo. Yung freedom of the press, wala yan. It does not exist today because kontrolado. Censored. So, kami naman, gusto kami mag-rally, pero kung ayaw magbigay ng permit, hindi kami magbili. Ang amin lang kasi, sabihin lang namin sa taong bayan, yung hindi lumalabas sa media.
Meanwhile, the former president issued a clarification about the MAISUG movement.
MAISUG is a group of, it's not me actually. MAISUG is not me and me is not MAISUG. Iba yan, may ibang mga ibang tao yan. Brainchild nila yan.
Meanwhile, MAISUG held a successful peace rally in Angeles City, Pampanga, followed by the National Day of Protest last Sunday, June 30. Its main venue was at SB Park in Quezon City in Metro Manila residence, Cebu City in Visayas, and Los Amigos Gymnasium in Davao City, attended by thousands of Filipinos. A peace rally was also held in Dumaguete City in Negros and in Caloocan City, Taytay Rizal, Pampanga, Aurora, and Zambales in Luzon.
So isa sa isinisigaw ng Rizaleños ay ang no to proxy war. Dahil tinitingnan namin at aming binabalanse ang bawat mamamayan dito sa aming probinsya dahil nakikita namin na kami ay tahimik na probinsya rito. Nakikita nyo naman, ayaw namin sa gera, no to proxy war, number one. Siyempre, unang-una, kawawa yung mga salinlahi natin, no? Especially yung mga kabataan at yung mga mamamayang Pilipino na nais ng totoong pagbabago.
Nalulungkot po ako. Ang nararamdaman ko po ay dalawa. Una, nalulungkot po ako dahil ito na naman ako sa karsada. Katulad kong senior dapat ay nasa bahay at nagpapahinga. Subalit, yung pangako ng ating Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos, yung 20 pesos na bigas, nasaan po? Yung pangako yung pabahay, nasaan po? Kami ay nalulungkot.
Apart from various activities held across the Philippines, Filipino communities abroad also held the MAISUG Peace Rally in Hong Kong, Japan, and Austria. Among the activities during the National Day of Protest, besides messages from some personalities, were marching, motorcades, caravans, and candle lighting. The protesters are calling for real and long-term solutions to the problems of the Philippines, not just the superficial band-aid solutions like the cash assistance provided by the Marcos administration. The National Day of Protest ended peacefully in various parts of the country and abroad. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, this has been Carlo de la Peña, SMNI News.
Just do your job. That's the message of former President Rodrigo Duterte for President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. recently amid worsening tensions in the Philippines political arena. Duterte clarified that the Marcoses are not his enemy and that the real objective of the growing number of MAISUG rallies is not for Marcos Jr.'s ouster, but simply to give Filipinos a platform to freely express their sentiments. Sara Santos for the rest of the details.
Alam mo, itong MAISUG, let me be very clear and clear.
The group Hakbang ng MAISUG, or Brave Move in English, is growing bigger and stronger. On the last day of June, rallies were simultaneously held in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, all over the Philippines, with the name National Day of Protest. Filipinos abroad also organized their own demonstrations. On the same day, on June 30th, former President Rodrigo Duterte also had a press conference in Tacloban City. Amid doubts from the administration, the former president clarified what the real objective of Hakbang ng MAISUG is.
Itong Hakbang MAISUG does not call for the ouster of the President Marcos. It does not call for his resignation. Itong Hakbang MAISUG is not directed against Romualdez, the Speaker. It is not against anybody. Ito lang yung sentimento.
Despite a great number of Filipinos loudly calling for President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to step down, former President Duterte stressed that this is not what he wishes to happen. For Duterte, President Marcos Jr. should just simply do his job.
Si Marcos hindi dapat mawalaan ng tulog. Gusto ko siyang magtrabaho dyan for 6 years. He was elected by the people for 6 years. Trabaho ko dyan. Dok-dokin mo yung mukha mo dyan sa misa. You work. We paid you. We elected you and we are paying you. Magtrabaho ka. Do not worry. Nobody but nobody is interested or are natanggalin ka. It's a waste of time. As a matter of fact, I am praying that he should live until the very end of his term. Gusto ko siyang magtrabaho kasi binoto natin siya. Magtrabaho ka dyan. But gawain mo para sa bayan.
Several Filipinos are already calling for Vice President Sara Duterte to take over the presidency, even before President Marcos Jr.'s term ends. But despite this, the father, Rodrigo Duterte, advises his daughter Sara Duterte not to attempt for the presidency.
Ay, mga takot-takot na yung... Wala yan. Relax ka lang. Walang interesado. Walang... Inday, wag kang pumasok dyan sa presidency. Galing ako dyan. Bigayan mo yung mga ambisyoso.
Former President Duterte also added that President Marcos Jr. is not his enemy, nor any other member of the Marcos family. As a matter of fact, the former president shared that his father was a former cabinet member of the late President Ferdinand Marcos Sr. It can be remembered that Duterte authorized the transfer of the current president's father's burial to the Libingan ng mga Bayani, or the Heroes Cemetery in the Philippines. Meanwhile, former President Duterte reminded that democracy is what should prevail in the country when concerning the president's term length, in line with what is stated in the Philippine Constitution. Amid the proposal for charter change or CHA-CHA, Duterte has a message for the current and future generation, especially to those who wish to stay in power.
Itong sanang Congress, tama yung Parliament para mas madali. Pero kasi itong kanila, I suspect, kaya ako at this time I'm raising the red flag, itong term extension na one term only. Yan lang ang i-resign nila. Mag-charter change, wala yan charter change. Mag-charter change, pero yun lang, one sentence lang. Pagkatapos yan, tapos na yung constitutional convention o constitutional whatever. Pero may ibang dumaang presidente na pag nakaupo dyan, gusto nila na hanggang habang buhay na. Dapat ganun. Dapat ganun ang mga yung future generation ano sa utak nila na periodic changes. Bigyan lahat. To be fair.
For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, this has been Sara Santos, SMNI News.
More news after the break. North Korea denounced the trilateral exercise launched by the U.S., Japan, and South Korea. Pyongyang believes that such military exercise showed that the relationship among these countries has developed into what it calls as the Asian version of NATO. Chelo Lee has the details.
North Korea condemned the joint trilateral exercise launched by the United States, South Korea, and Japan and compared it to an Asian version of NATO. North Korea warned of consequences a day after the United States, South Korea, and Japan concluded their joint military exercise held in international waters of South Korea's Jeju Island. Dubbed Freedom Edge, the three-day exercise was held from the 27th through the 29th of June. The exercises were aimed at strengthening the deterrence of the three allied nations against North Korean threats. The drills deployed various warships and aircraft, as well as ballistic missile and air defenses, anti-submarine warfare, and defensive cyber training from the three countries. In response, North Korea claimed it carried out a successful test of a missile with multiple warheads during the first day of the trilateral exercise. The launch was condemned by the three allied nations. It was last year when the U.S., South Korea, and Japan agreed to conduct annual drills as a sign of unity against North Korea. Reporting from South Korea, this is Shalu Lee, your global citizen correspondent for God, our beloved country, the Philippines.
Russia imposed sanctions on dozens of individuals from Australia and New Zealand in response to the similar act made by both nations against Russian nationals. Risha Molina reports.
27 Australian nationals and 36 citizens from New Zealand are banned entry to Russia. The sanctions cover military officials, business persons, lecturers, and journalists from Australia, including former Australian ambassador to Ukraine and former Prime Minister Tony Abbott. For New Zealand, the sanctions targeted politicians, heads of security agencies, lecturers, journalists, and public figures. Moscow made the move in retaliation to Australia and New Zealand's new round of sanctions against Russia due to its ongoing war with Ukraine. Russia also targeted several representatives of EU institutions and EU member states in response to the 14th package of EU sanctions. Reporting, this has been Trisha Molina, SMNI News.
In a single night, Emirati officials arrested hundreds of cyber criminals and rescued individuals as part of a massive operation to dismantle an international cybercrime ring across the UAE. Jonathan Acobo reports.
The rising number of cybercrime cases is becoming a cause for concern among businesses and residents in the UAE, with institutions and individuals losing millions of dirhams to scammers every year. The UAE is determined to demolish the rising threat of cybercriminals operating across the country. In the Emirate of Ajman alone, hundreds of cybercriminals were arrested and several individuals were rescued in a single night, with operation extended until the early hours of the morning. A similar crackdown took place across Dubai. The syndicates recruited thousands of individuals from Asia and Africa under the pretense of working as telesales agents and expert hackers. The cybercriminals confess to defrauding hundreds of people every day and gaining thousands of dirhams in profits for their illegal activity. An investigation to uncover the backgrounds of the suspects arrested in the latest operation is still ongoing. Reporting from Dubai, I'm Jonathan Acobo, your global citizen correspondent for SM9 News Channel.
The Foreign Minister of Thailand is set to travel to the Philippines for an official state visit this week. Chatmongkong Pisamay Goson has the details.
Thailand Foreign Minister Marisa Ngiampong will visit the Philippines for the first time since he assumed office in May. Ngiampong will travel to the country on the 4th of July. During the visit, the Thai Foreign Minister will have a bilateral meeting with his Filipino counterpart Ambassador Enrique Manalo. Both sides are expected to discuss ways to further strengthen their partnership in various sectors, such as security, trade and investment, tourism, as well as cooperation on regional and international issues of common interest. The visit will take place a few weeks after both nations mark the 75th anniversary of their diplomatic relations. Thailand and the Philippines will hold a series of activities such as cultural performances, high-level visits, business-to-business cooperation, as well as community events in the coming months to celebrate 75 years of bilateral ties. Thailand is one of the Philippines' major trade partners and one of its sources of rice. Reporting from Thailand, I'm Chatmongkong Pisamay Goson, your global citizens correspondent for SM9 News Channel.
Thousands of members of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ and the Filipino community in Japan joined the MAISUG rally held on Sunday. Many of them cannot help but express their great dismay and concern about the event unfolding in the Philippines under the current administration. Ivy Estilio has the details.
Members of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ and the Filipino community joined the National Day protest of the MAISUG movement in Japan, held on June 30th at the Sagamihara Kiyaki Kaikan Hall. Filipinos expressed their sentiments regarding the actions of authorities and those in high positions in the Philippine government. Many also spoke against the injustice that occurred on June 10th when armed authorities attacked the religious compounds of KOJC.
Siyempre, masama talaga ang loob natin, no? Especially if maalala natin, ako na emotional ako sa nangyari nung June 10 na we are really devastated of what happened with the kingdom. Kasi nga niloob, pinasok illegally na hindi talaga karapat-dapat very injustice ang nahitabo gyud sa Kingdom Nation. Og mao gyud ang akong kasakit na imamade, dala-dala gyud na nako siya o nganong nabuo ang maisog Japan tungod ani nga sitwasyon nga pag-abot nako dito nakita nako ang Pilipinas nga ingon ani di ang nagkahitabo. Oh my God, dili katuan nga nabudol ta. Hulyo na. Unta magpadayon ang kadaugan nato ug ato nang iselebrar hangtod ang ato ang victory. Mao na gyud ni.
Nganong ang katong mga missionary nagsangyaw bahin sa Ginoo mo ilahang gustong dakpon, pero kanang mga adik nga naa na sa daplin sa dalan nga klaro na kayo gapak ang mga shabu, di nila dakpon, mahadlok sila ana. Muna ako ang munang usa nga akong gikasakit no. Nganong katupamang mga missionary ang ilahang lisod-lisoron nga mura og kanang daghan nagipatay.
Reporting from Tokyo, Japan, this is Ivy Astilio, your global citizen correspondent for God and my country, the Philippines.
And before we end, may be inspired with the words of the sun. Every day may not be good, but there's something good in every day. And that's all for this edition. For more news updates, you may visit smninewschannel.com or follow us on our official social media accounts on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I am Franco Baranda, and this is Newsline World.